What's up, Kookaburra crew? Today we're going to do a commander build out for a dime a dozen goblins. We're going to use Krenko, the mob boss, as our commander. He's going to be super cool. I think you'll have a lot of fun with this. This thing is going to be under $25. So stay tuned. I'll walk you through the deck. I'll walk you through the build out and enjoy how you can beat people up with some nice little goblins. Don't forget to subscribe to Cardboard Kookaburra for some more content like this, how-to guides and pack openings. We focus on Magic. Anything you want from Magic, we're here for you. So subscribe. It's totally free. Doesn't cost you anything, but it really helps us out, helps the channel, helps us build and grow, so we can bring you more and more content. All right, so let's talk about this deck. Let's first start with our commander, Krenko, the mob boss. He is a cool little 3/3 goblin that when you tap him, you create X 1/1 red goblin creature tokens, where X is the number of goblins you control. As you can expect, this can scale out of control super fast. So we really want to get this guy out on the board as fast as we can, keep him on the board as long as we can, so we can keep tapping him and make more and more goblins. We are going to make goblins a dime a dozen. So many of them that every time you're tapping him, you're making tons and tons of goblins. So that's what the commander's all about. Very straightforward, very simple. Put them in there, make goblins, have fun. All right, so our boy Krenko needs to be backed up with a ton of goblins. So in this deck, I think I'm putting a record number of creatures in this deck to try to make Krenko's ability more and more valuable. We want him to be able to tap for as many goblins as we can. So what does that mean? We need lots and lots of goblins to back him up and just scale and scale and scale until we overrun everyone's board and hopefully don't get board wiped. But that's definitely a weakness of this deck. Board wipes could harm us, could cause us a little bit of trouble. But what you'll see on this list is there's a whole bunch of goblins that are really the under 50-cent category. Trying to keep this as a budget deck so you can build it really quick. This is a great deck if you want to build with your kids so you don't have to put a lot of money into it, but they can have a really fun deck to play. And you know, the goblin tribes are always fun too. So you see that most of these are under 50 cents. There's a couple of them that are going to be a little bit more. They're going to be a little bit higher in on the price scale, you know, in that $1, $2 range. I think the most expensive one is about $3 depending on which version you get of it. But that's to keep this thing budget, but also make it really competitive. We want to have a lot of fun with this. We want to be competitive with this deck, and I think we can definitely do that and build out these goblins like crazy. So I want to highlight a couple of these big creatures that we're going to put in here. Again, these are a little bit more expensive for this budget deck, so if you have to sub them out with something else, feel free to do so, but these will make that deck really fun. The first one is the Goblin Assassin. Goblin Assassin is just so much fun, because whenever a goblin comes into play, each player flips a coin, and whenever the coin comes up tails, they have to sacrifice a creature. Just fun mechanic, really, you know, up to chance, a lot of fun to do. The next one is going to be the Goblin Recruiter. When he enters the battlefield, you search your library for any number of goblin cards, reveal them, and shuffle it, and put it on the top of your library. And when you got your lands out, and you just want to draw goblin for the next few turns, you can absolutely use the Goblin Recruiter. Just a lot of fun to pull in there. Just a way to kind of tutor up your deck, if you will, for this specific purpose that we're doing with the goblins. So there you have it, folks. That's going to be the creatures in this deck. There's a lot of emphasis on creatures in this deck. Lots and lots of creatures to back up Krenko. Alright, so let's jump into our sorceries and instants. All of our spells that are going to go into this deck. There's not a lot. We're not doing a ton of spell casting in this deck. Primarily here we're just trying to do damage when we can, maybe overrun some things a little bit if we can to do, make sure our creatures get to hit the enemy, you know, that kind of thing. But there's not a ton of spell casting in this deck. Again, this is a great deck for someone that's learning how to play Magic, doesn't have a lot of budget to use to build a commander deck, but still can have some fun and be competitive. So there isn't a whole ton of interaction inside this deck other than with Krenko and more goblins. So I'm going to highlight a couple of our spells here. I'm not going to highlight a lot of them. They're pretty basic ones that we're going to put in here to just kind of push forward with the ability of having a lot of creatures on the battlefield. So the first spell I'm going to highlight is Roar of the Crowd. Right? In this one, you choose a creature type, and it deals damage to target creature or player equals to the number of permanents you control of the chosen type. that's just a great way to say, hey, I've got 12, 13, however many goblins, hopefully up to like 40 or 50 goblins that I'm just gonna smash you in the face for 40 damage. Or I'm going to destroy that giant Eldrazi that you brought out that is an 11/11. Okay? So a great way to just do some removal. Also a great way to do some direct damage to our opponents. The other one is Outnumber. Outnumber does the exact same thing based on the number of creatures you control. More goblins, more goblins, more goblins. Great thing. What I like about Outnumber that's a little bit different than Roar of the Crowd is number one, it's only 1 mana, and number 2, it is an instant. So you can do this at instant speed, whereas Roar of the Crowd is done at sorcery speed. So Outnumber is just a fantastic card for this deck, and I think it adds a lot of flavor to it. So let's look at our other permanents that are going to be in this deck. Now let's start out with our one and only artifact. It's Goblin Charbelcher. And Goblin Charbelcher is a really cool artifact for this deck because it allows us to reveal cards from the top of our library until we reveal a land card. And if we reveal a land card, and it's a mountain, which we only have mountains in this deck, we get to deal double damage of the cards that were revealed. So we get to do a good bit of damage to someone's face. So an under $1 card that you could do some serious damage with. Additionally, you'll see some just things that boost the goblins as they come into play, you know, giving them +1s, giving them +0, +2s, things of that nature. We have a couple cards that go as far back as the Dark, from the caves and the shrine. And then, you know, Raid Bombardment, which I think is a really awesome addition to this deck because all of our goblins, for the most part, are going to be very, very small. So anytime we attack with one of those, it does a direct damage to the opponent we're attacking. Alright, so finishing up our permanents is our land base. It's just 36 mountains. Nothing too exciting there. We're keeping it within a budget, so just 36 mountains for mana base. Alright, so that wraps up Krenko the Mob Boss. This is a super budget deck, under $25 that you can get this deck for. I hope you really enjoyed this. I hope you have fun trying this out. Leave me a comment. Let me know how it went for you. And hey, I'd love to hear how you would do this differently or how you could upgrade this to a $50 deck or a $100 deck. The full deck list is in the description below. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more.